Okay, everyone, here's my video for this week. Starting with section 1, share an insight or new idea that you gained from this chapter. How does this change or reinforce your existing beliefs about teaching? What I found interesting or what I liked was when it talked about uh, the essence of a student-centered teacher is fourfold, with warmth and trust and empathy and positive relationships. And the one part that stuck out to me more than the others was trying to see things from where the student is, even in situations where we might think that the lesson is simplistic. Um, I know I have thought that to myself before when I'm explaining something, and I think, why is this so hard? So, trying to dive into that a little bit more and um, look at it through their eyes is something that I can definitely be better about, and I think it reinforces things that I've talked about before. Students don't care what you know until they know that you care, and I think that little section was about that. And then, what concept or detail from chapter 8 interested you the most about student-centered learning? Why did this particular point stand out to you? So a little bit later, it was the student evaluations of teachers, and one thing that I found interesting was they wanted someone who was able to control student behavior without ignoring the lesson. So that was just an interesting thing to me. It was um, trying to be a teacher that can control the classroom and not deter from what they're trying to accomplish. And so I thought that was interesting. It was just an interesting thought. And then basically the whole theme of those was basically still um, just trying to meet the students where they are and have empathy to them, and using their situation and how they see things to influence their teaching. And then moving down to section 2, think back to your own experience as a student. Can you recall a situation where a teacher's expectations significantly influenced your performance? How do these experiences shape your perspective on the importance of communicating high expectations as an educator? I think in my school, it wasn't necessarily one teacher that had high expectations. I think we had high expectations just as a school. Extracurricular activities were pretty important, athletics, and if you were at that time, if you were failing any classes, you were not eligible to do extracurricular activities. So the expectation was you need to be passing all your classes. And then, at my own house, my parents' expectation of me was that I had A's and B's. So that wasn't necessarily an expectation that a teacher put on me, but that was an expectation that was coming from my house. And I knew that if I wanted to participate in sports, I had to have good grades. So that kind of went along with that. But I do try to um, let students know that I believe highly in them and I have high expectations for them. And the tricky part is having high expectations without putting like extra pressure on the students. That can be kind of a sticky situation. Um, then number 5, reflect on your past experiences with internet-based materials, either as a student or an educator. How effective were these resources in enhancing learning? Based on this reflection, how do you plan to expand or improve the use of such materials in your future practice? So I think the internet can be good. I know I find online classes to be kind of challenging to actually get engaged with the material. I think that can happen with students also, where you just see the checklist in front of you and you're just trying to do what you got to do. I know I struggle with that. I think I've seen that in the classroom also when I was doing long term sub for science online stuff. It's really easy to just say, hey, here's this link, follow the link, do what it says. I don't know how much learning actually goes on there. So Now, as a physical education teacher, most of the things that we would potentially use the internet for is having them go look up information on their own and bringing it back to classroom for maybe discussion or something like that. Um, so I think the internet can be good. We got to be careful about using it and making sure that we're not using it as a crutch to just give them something to do. So those are my thoughts for the week.